Well guys, the end of the world is upon us. Look how windy it is out here. The end of the world is upon us, my friends. It's chilly, man, it's chilly out here. You know, it's end of July, and even here in Canada, in the middle of summer, end of July, it can be cold, it can be chilly. Like it almost feels like I should be wearing just a light jacket, wearing a t-shirt, but it's cold, guys. Here in Canada, even in the middle of summer, it can be cold. All right, so let's just go across this nice little bridge here. And what does it say here? It says danger, shallow water, no diving or jumping. That's disappointing. I was planning to just jump right over here, just dive in there. Well, I guess I'll have to change my plans and teach you some vocabulary instead. So guys, it's windy, the end of the world is coming. I've made videos over the past year or two talking about the end of the world. The end of the world is coming. Are you ready? You could tell me, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. I already agree with you. Yeah, the end of the world is coming. You're preaching to the choir. Have you ever heard that idiom? Preaching to the choir. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you what it means. So, do you know what preaching is? Preaching usually has a religious meaning. If somebody stands somewhere and preaches to people, you know, let's say maybe in a religious building like a church or a mosque or a temple or something like that, you know, a person at the front of the building is giving some message to the people, trying to convince them of something, or to, you know, to say something that he or she believes in very deeply. Okay, so it's very often it has a religious type of meaning, but it doesn't need to. It could have a meaning like just a normal, you know, anybody who believes strongly in something and is telling someone who they don't think believes that. So if I tell you, hey, you know, it's smoking, don't smoke, smoking is bad for you, it's gonna, you know, hurt your lungs, and don't smoke. You could tell me, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. I don't smoke. I agree with you. Why are you telling me this? I agree with you. Right? So if I'm telling you, like I'm trying to convince you, but you already agree with me, you can say, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. Okay, now what is a choir? A choir is a group of singers. Okay, so very often churches have choirs. If you go to, I remember actually I was in the city of Sofia, Bulgaria, maybe about, I don't know, 15-20 years ago, and there was, I was in a church. They have beautiful churches over there in Eastern Europe. I was in a church and there was a choir coming, there was singing coming from somewhere, and I think it was way up in the back, up, but I couldn't see the singers, and their voices were so pure, like so amazing. I couldn't tell if it was a choir of like 4 singers or like 40 singers. That's how like pure the sound was in my ears. It was incredible. It was really incredible. I couldn't see the choir. They were somewhere hidden away somewhere, and with the, you know, in these big churches, the sound is just, it's beautiful. So hopefully I can go back to Eastern Europe sometime. But anyway, a choir is a group of singers. Okay, have you ever been in a choir? I have been in a choir. When I was in high school, I was in a choir. Okay, so if you kind of think about this idiom, preaching to the choir, what does it mean? Why is it preaching to the choir? So imagine a preacher. a person in, let's say, a church who's preaching to the people, and usually in a church, the choir would be at the back of the stage, kind of behind the preacher. So imagine if I'm the preacher, right? I'm giving a message to the masses, right? All the normal people, you know. And then if I turn around and start preaching to the choir, that's kind of useless, because they agree with me. We believe the same thing, right? We're on the same team, we're on the same page. So it'd be a bit weird if I'm preaching to the choir. They're already part of the church, right? Very often preaching sort of has a meaning of you're trying to convince somebody to join your belief, right? So if I'm preaching my message to people, I want them to believe what I believe, but the choir already believes that because they come to the church, they're part of the church, right? Does that make sense? So I think that's where the idiom came from, this idiom, preaching to the choir. Okay, you already agree, so why are you telling me this? If I'm telling you about smoking, do you smoke? Well, if you... Car's making weird noises, guys. Anyway, so if you don't smoke and I'm telling you about the dangers of smoking, you can tell me, Mark, why are you wasting your time telling me this? I already agree with you. You're preaching to the choir. Okay, now just remember the pronunciation of that word, choir. CH in this word does not make the ch sound. It's not chore, chore, it's qu. There's no W. It sounds like there would be a W, but there's no W. It's just choir. Okay, so what examples can you think of? Have you ever been in a situation where you could tell someone you're preaching to the choir? Right? So I just said, you know, it's windy out here. It feels like there's some like forest fire smoke in the air. This summer has been terrible for forest fire smoke. It's been the worst summer in Alberta history for smoke. So it was kind of smoky today, and anyway, so I could say, you know, the end of the world is upon us. And if you believe that, you could say, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. I agree with you. We're heading to the end of the world. Okay, so what other examples can we think of? Let's say I tell you, hey, you know, with all this climate change going on, we need more solar power. We need to move away from fossil fuels and have more solar power. I'm using this example because I just saw some solar panels. Look at that. Is this sign a solar powered? That looks like solar panels to me. Yeah, look at that. Okay, solar panels, guys. Have you ever seen solar panels before? So this contraption here, what is this even powering? I don't know, powering something. It's collecting solar power. So those are called solar panels. So if I'm telling you, you know, we need to move away from fossil fuels and get more solar power, if you believe that, you could say, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. Greta Thunberg could tell me, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. Remember Greta Thunberg, the activist who's always preaching at people, telling them how bad they are? You better stop using energy. The world is going to end soon. You know, she's always saying that. So, you know, yeah, so that's what preaching to the choir means, guys. If you agree with someone and they're trying to convince you of something, it's useless, right? Because you already agree with them. Okay, so let me know some examples that you can think of down in the comments. about preaching to the choir. Maybe you've been in a situation recently where someone has kind of talked to you as though you need to learn something, or as though you don't agree with them, but you do agree with them. Maybe you know even more than they do about the topic. You know, you could say, look, you're preaching to the choir. Just save your time, you know. So preaching to the choir means that you're telling someone something that they already know and they agree with. Okay, so anyway, guys, well, that's it. I see a rabbit over there. Before I end the video, I'll go take you guys over. Oh, but there's a guy with his dog coming. Maybe I'll just wait for him to go past. And then, oh no, the rabbit's running away. There went my plan. Man, he ran far. Well, guys, the rabbit ran away. So, but I'll just show you this nice little pond here. This is a beautiful little spot. Hope the wind, hope the volume, or hope the wind didn't ruin the audio in this video, because I actually bought a new thing that goes around my GoPro camera. It's supposed to cut out the wind noise. So anyway, we'll see if it works or not. But look at this beautiful little pond here, eh? That is gorgeous. So guys, if you want to move here to Alberta, you are welcome here, and then you can be with me here in this cool place. Hopefully the end of the world doesn't come before you get here. If it comes after, well, then we'll die together, right? So anyway, guys, thank you for always watching my videos. Thank you for just all your support, for always smashing like on the videos, and for leaving nice comments. I really appreciate that. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're staying healthy and happy, and hope the weather is, hope you have some nice clouds in your place, like those, all these nice clouds in Alberta. I kind of like clouds. Anyway, and there's a nice reflection of the clouds on the water. Isn't that nice? Anyway, guys, as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.